Welcome, everyone. In this wondrous land of enchantment, contestants test their mettle against the putrid forces of darkness.
I wouldn't exactly call this wondrous. Welcome to the Crash Tag Team Racing Review. Remember how at the end of the last review I stated that I'd be covering another classic from my childhood? Well, I hate to say this, but upon going back to the game, I wouldn't call this a classic. It's not even close, quite frankly. But let me go into why I thought this was a classic in the first place. You see, I never played any of the Crash games on the PS1 when I was a kid. But rather, I was introduced to the series through the Crash Action Pack, which contained Crash Nitro Kart, Crash Twinsanity, and this. So I had none of the earlier titles to judge this game against. But what makes the game feel so meh nowadays? I guess the logical place to start is, well, at the very beginning. Our game begins with the Bandicoots being chased down by Cortex, Nina, and N. Gin. As their chase derails, they crash into an amusement park ran by a man named Von Clutch. After a quick tutorial, Von Clutch thrusts our characters into a race to find the Black Power Gem. The Black Power Gem is essentially what's keeping him alive. Honestly, Von Clutch is a bare-bones character and a German stereotype with that, complete with a thick accent and an obsession with cars. Plus, he's a pretty crappy manager, constantly letting things get stolen. The place looks run down and unkept. He doesn't even provide health insurance for his workers.
Please, I have no health coverage!
I take it this world doesn't have Clutch care yet. The game is actually structured like your typical 3D collectathon platformer, complete with a sprawling hub world and multiple locations to travel through. There are only 5 levels, the first of which is Mystery Island, which has your typical adventure motifs such as a pirate ship and Indiana Jones references. Then there's Happily Ever Faster. Everything in this level looks like it's straight out of a fairy tale. Then there's Tyrannosaurus Rex, which, simply put, is a dinosaur level. There's nothing really exciting here. Next is Toontown, an Egyptian level. Again, nothing really exciting here. And finally Astroland, a level which can go fuck itself, but we'll get to that later. At the end of each level, there is a jump pad which you need a certain amount of power crystals to unlock. You can collect crystals by getting first in events, buying them from workers, meeting certain character requirements, or by simply picking them up in the hub world. The requirements are pretty fair. It starts off with only needing 8 power crystals and jumps by 2 or 3 each time. That is until you get to Astroland, where the requirement jumps all the way from 15 to 20 power crystals. And this is where the game's problems come out. Collecting power crystals is a pain in the ass. Sure, getting crystals by beating races is easy enough, but collecting them by playing stupid mini-games or trying to get around with the abundance of platforms with this shitty camera just sucks. It got so bad that I left Astroland and went back to earlier levels to unlock crystals I hadn't got yet. At this point, I should talk about the driving mechanics. Just like every kart racer, you're trying to get around the track as fast as possible and get first place through various means such as shortcuts, items, and just simply outplaying your opponents. But what makes this game different is clashing. Clashing allows you to combine with another racer and run and gun down opponents. For all of you who have played Mario Kart Double Dash, it's a lot like that. However, many races boil down to simply clashing at the very start and killing all enemies around you while your AI partner drives you around to the finish. This is an incredibly easy way to score tons of coins and win races. This makes racing all the time incredibly boring and monotonous, but it's almost required to beat the game since races give you 2 gems and every other event gives you 1. Along with racing, there are 4 other modes. The first mode is Rolling Thunder. In this mode you have to kill a certain amount of enemies within the span of a lap. Next up is the Crashinator. In this mode you have to crash into a certain amount of objects before the end of the lap is over. Then there's Run and Gun, a mode in which you have to hit a certain number of flying objects again before the lap is over. There's also the Fast Lap mode, which is pretty self-explanatory, and since I didn't do it very often, I don't have very good footage to show you. A common problem that all these modes share is that they're often too repetitive, either wanting you to do something fast enough within the lap or destroy a certain amount of things within the lap. And I think this is a problem that the game as a whole shares, a lack of variety. You'll quickly find that there are only 8 characters available. Sure, there are alternate costumes and cars, but this is no excuse for a lack of characters. Plus, there are only 2 unlocked straight from the beginning. Simply put, the only character you should even bother unlocking is Crunch. He's great for the run and gun and Rolling Thunder levels. Right before Astroland, it's revealed that the person who stole Von Clutch's power gems is his own mascot, Willy. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this guy. That's because he only appears one time before this, and he's incredibly boring. So after you've drudged through all the boring and repetitive races in different modes, take your 20 power crystals and unlock the final jump pad. Maybe an epic boss fight will redeem this game. Oh come on, you're kidding me? We don't even get that luxury? Ah, Cortex. Maybe we will get that epic boss fight.
I hate chicken.
Or not, I guess. In the end, Von Clutch gets his power crystal back, and the Bandicoots give the amusement park they won back to Von Clutch. So what was even the point of the game? Overall, Crash Tag Team Racing isn't necessarily a bad game, but it's more boring than anything, and in some cases, that can be worse, and I think this is a case where that's true. For the most part, there's a lack of variety in the gameplay, the characters you unlock, and the different carts. This also transfers over to the aesthetics and the soundtrack, especially the soundtrack. I can't tell you how many songs just blend together all the time over the course of the game. But if there's a redeeming factor anywhere in this game, it's definitely the charm that's presented in much of the cutscenes.
Yes, my lord.
Stop having fun.
When you get down to it, Crash Tag Team Racing simply isn't a very fun game to play. And it's purely outclassed by much better racers like Mario Kart or Sega All-Stars Racing. At the end of the day, I don't think I can recommend this to anybody, fans of Crash, platformers, or racers even. Well, that's kind of a bummer that a game I was so fond of in my childhood turned out to be boring and even bad in some cases. But thank you guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed the review. And who knows, maybe next time we'll refine some redeeming factor in my childhood. Maybe.